To Baha'is the world over, there is an enduring cup of sorrow that overflows yearly on the 10th day of July, the commemoration of the martyrdom of the Bab, forerunner of the Baha'i faith. It was high noon then, in 1850, in the barrack square of the sun-drenched city of Tabriz, where some 10,000 eager spectators lined the public square, also along the rooftops, to witness beneath a blistering sun, glistening from the barrels of 750 rifles, awaiting the command to fire and snuff out the life of a messenger of God. But just what was the trigger that would set off a wayward governess to this day of infamy? So what had impelled and readied it was only 6 years earlier. It was a time of religious fervor, where tumultuous unrest, disarray, and disunity among the peoples and clergy had come to fever pitch. Yet it was also a time of eager expectation among religious scholars that this was a time of renewal, that an awakening was expected to happen. And so it was that in that fiery backdrop, but yet on a fervent eve of May the 23rd, 1844, in Shiraz, that a young man aged 25 of pure and holy lineage had made a disclosure to a student of religion, Mullah Hussein, the first to believe in him, that he, the Bab, was the one foretold in the holy books of the past, and that he had come to infuse a new springtime in the hearts of man, and would usher in the revelation of Baha'u'llah, the promised one of all ages. He would speak such searching truths to swelling crowds that attracted even more by his purity of conduct and extraordinary eloquence and daring. And to the dismay of the accusers, debates they arranged had actually elevated the Bab in exposing unsparingly their vices and corruption and shamed them in their lives. He defeated them, in short, with their own holy book in his hand. This, then, was the Bab of such electrifying purity of conduct and character as he was in youth, that now stood before that regiment of rifles, and who had revealed a binding light that was transporting people into a state of ecstasy. And in efforts to discredit him, the clergy, dignitaries, powerful ministers, along with the governor of Tabriz, called a conference to seek the most effective means for ending the Bab's power over the people. "Who do you claim to be?" the president asked the Bab, "and what is the message which you have brought?" I am, the promised one," he replied. "I am the one whose name you have for 1,000 years invoked, at whose mention you have risen, whose advent to have longed to witness, and the hour of whose revelation you have prayed God to hasten. Verily, I say, it is incumbent upon the peoples of both the East and the West to obey my word and pledge allegiance to my person." So intensive Had this recoiling atmosphere by the state become that the Prime Minister ruled that nothing short of the bomb's public execution would return their distracted country to the way it was. And never for once would history recount, if not blinded by their fear, their loss of power, were those rulers to take stock that a true messenger of God was indeed in their midst. Thus the Bab would see the sun rise over the sands of his native Persia for the last time. And as soon after the chief attendant secured his death warrant, thousands were awestruck when, after the rifles were discharged and the smoke cleared, that the Bab, to their dismay, was nowhere to be seen. Instead, he was found by a frantic chief attendant in the barracks from whence he had been taken, and to whom the Bab said, "I have finished my conversation with my secretary. Now you may proceed to fulfill your mission." But history would pause as Sam Khan, the regiment's leader, severely shaken by the events, refused to continue, and another regiment was put in his place. Again the Bab and his companion were secured as before, but just before its fatal shots would fire, said the Bab these final words: "O wayward generation, had you believed in me, every one of you would have followed the example of this youth, who stood in rank above most of you, and would have willingly sacrificed himself in my path. The day will come when you will have recognized me. That day I shall have ceased to be with you." So it was then that the Bab collected all the documents in his possession and placed them together with his pen case, his seals, and his rings in the hands of one of his followers for furtherance to Baha'u'llah in Tehran. The guardian spoke of his fast-ebbing life, so crowded with the accumulated anxieties, disappointments, treacheries, and sorrows of a tragic ministry, had now moved swiftly towards its climax, the most turbulent period of the heroic age of the new dispensation, and the cup of bitter woes which its herald had tasted was now full to overflowing. Thus a curtain was drawn on the Bab's 6-year ministry, but 19 years from his declaration would open again in 1863 outside the city of Baghdad by Baha'u'llah, who, after that pivotal evening in Shiraz and the Bab's disclosure to Mullah Hussein, revealed that he was the one foretold by the Bab, that the dawn had now given way to light, and that the era promised to the earth since the beginning of time, the day of the one foretold and the one shepherd, had been ushered in by the Bab's sacrifice on that sun-drenched day of noon in July of 1850, that where now today is raised again the cup of sorrow in commemoration.